tank. He's good at setting traps. Has crazy power that he believes in. And has a great chin too because he's a guy. He'll let you get out punches, and he'll still be coming at you. And then once he catches you, it's a wrap.
All-time greats. Crawford's one of the best switch hitters, I think, since Marvin Hagler, and one of the most skillful boxers alive.
He has very good skills. He's one of my favorite boxers. He able to win this fight.
Errol Spence was left stunned, praising Terence Crawford's unreal training for the Canelo fight. Having shared the ring with him, Errol acknowledged Crawford's elite skill set and high ring IQ. Watching his recent training, Errol couldn't believe the speed, precision, and footwork on display. Crawford looked like a monster in motion, sharp, explosive, and laser-focused. This version of Crawford is a dangerous force Canelo can't afford to underestimate.
Step right here and roll.
When Terence Crawford reflected on his battle with Errol Spence, the mutual respect between the two elite boxers was evident. Known for his patient and cerebral style, Crawford highlighted how he methodically breaks down opponents before unleashing devastating flurries.
How hard does Spence hit?
He didn't hit that hard.
But he never caught you that clean. That was probably the best shot he landed.
No, he caught me a couple of times, but I was surprised at how hard he didn't hit.
Really?
And given that everybody say, oh, he's a big puncher, I think he's just a volume puncher. I think he just wears opponents down. Just wear them down. I don't think, he has a one-punch knockout. He have power, but it's not like, boom, sleep. I think it's like, bam, oh, boom, 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 boom. And then he just wear you down.
Right, yeah. That is a difference, right?
Because if you look at his career, you never seen him, like, knock nobody out with one punch. You never see him, dropping nobody with one punch. You always see him, like, wearing them down. That's why he goes so hard to the body, because he want to wear you down. Then once you get tired and once your body start weakening, everything started weakening. And those little punches that wasn't hurting.
Former world champion and analyst Chris Algieri offered a sharp comparison between Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. He noted that while Crawford consistently dominates and controls his opponents, Canelo has shown moments of being overwhelmed, what insiders call getting bossed. A key example was his loss to Dimitri Bivol, where Bivol's size, jab, and discipline dictated the fight. Algieri's point highlights that Crawford, even while moving up in weight, brings a style based on control, adaptability, and technical mastery, traits that have historically troubled even elite champions like Canelo.
And Terence Crawford, who do you think can be the boss that night? When you talk about these two guys, you talk about two guys, number one, you can't boss me around.
Yep.
Two guys, you can't even look at me a certain way without me feeling some type of way. These guys now have set their sights on one another. Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, we know the weight difference, but we've seen Crawford, looks like he's coming up slowly to that weight class and kind of acclimating himself in real time. How do you see that fight playing out?
We're still pretty far away from that fight, and I'm going to hold my complete analytics on that. But I'll tell you this.
Contrast and compare, maybe not a pick.
But I'll tell you this. I've seen Canelo pushed around. I've never seen Terence pushed around. So when you talk about who's going to be the boss, I've never seen anyone boss Terence Crawford. I've seen Canelo get bossed. So that just psychologically, when you think about that, and this is a fight where I flip-flop on both guys because there's so many good points. Yeah, but he's 168. Yeah, but it's Terence Crawford. He's undefeated. Well, yeah, no, this guy's beating this, but stylistic. Even he hits him on the arm. There's so many different things you could talk about. But from a psychological standpoint, who's fresher, who's meaner, who wants it more? That's going to come into play.
As a boxing fan, how much fun is it to see those two attitudes come together? It's kind of like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object getting ready to collide.
I've worked a lot of Canelo fights. The Canelo fight weeks are great. He plays to the crowd really well. His fans are awesome. I'm thinking about the Caleb Plant situation. I'm thinking about the Billy's Joe Saunders situation. When he gets When he gets that in his head that, he's got an extra chip, he becomes a real...
Veteran commentator Max Kellerman offered a balanced take, noting that while both Crawford and Canelo have distinct advantages, Crawford holds the edge based on recent performances and overall skill set. He emphasized Crawford's timing, switch hitting, and knockout power, which have peaked in recent years. Meanwhile, Canelo, though still elite, has shown signs of slowing down, especially in movement and aggression. Kellerman acknowledged Canelo's size advantage as a factor in clinches and exchanges, but when evaluating speed, precision, defense, and adaptability, he leaned toward Crawford as the more complete and currently sharper fighter.
But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford.
Okay.
But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. You briefly mentioned Canelo's power, so who I would assume Canelo has the
You'd have to think, unless Crawford, Crawford was on a knockout streak until he moved up to junior middleweight and then failed to stop Madrimov. So, and Canelo, though he has not stopped anyone in a while, we've seen he's a real puncher at 68.
As far as speed, who has a better speed?
You would imagine Crawford, given the fact that he is the naturally smaller fighter.
The dynamics of this mega fight are intriguing. Crawford is entering unfamiliar territory by moving up in weight, a move that often risks speed and stamina. Meanwhile, Canelo, though experienced at this level, is no longer the explosive force he once was. Recent bouts have shown him struggling to score knockouts, opting for cautious control over his earlier aggressive style. This shift suggests that while Crawford faces a physical challenge, Canelo's decline in key areas helps balance the matchup. If Crawford shows up with sharp footwork, elite ring IQ, and top-tier stamina, he absolutely has a path to victory.
Obviously, at 168, he has been a bit of the smaller man at that weight class, and in the last couple of years has had trouble finishing opponents and getting guys out of there like he would have at 160 or 154. So you have a bit of a duality there. Both guys coming into this fight in the, let's say, twilight of their careers, or maybe twilight of their primes, however you want to look at it. Canelo is going to be, I think, 35. Terence is 38. So you have a similar situation, different paths, and different struggles for both fighters. But when you look at who has to do more in this fight, it's clearly Terence Crawford, as far as what he's giving up and sacrificing to win this third undisputed championship and to try to beat Canelo, who has only been beat twice in his career, one of which was Floyd Mayweather being slick and tagging Canelo with counter punches when Canelo missed, being the smaller, lighter fighter and up there in age that was still able to take advantage of the youth and experience of Canelo Alvarez, but also just being a defensive maestro and able to counter off of that. Floyd is one of one. And then you have Dimitri Bivol, who was the bigger fighter, and the things that Canelo does very well didn't really hurt him too bad, right? The things that had carried Canelo up in division was his power and the ability to break an opponent down, maybe not stopping them in the early to mid part of fight.
Young rising talent Abdullah Mason expressed strong confidence in Crawford, predicting not just a win but one that would shock many. He pointed out that Crawford's power, often underrated, could surprise the world. While most assume Canelo holds the edge in strength due to size, Mason challenged that notion, suggesting Crawford's power, rooted in timing, angles, and precision, might be even more effective. If Crawford lands cleanly and consistently, especially in the later rounds, Mason's bold prediction could very well come true.
I'll say Canelo Crawford, your prediction quickly.
Canelo Crawford. I got faith that Crawford could take it. I got faith in Crawford. I feel like Crawford, he might surprise some people with his strength. So it all depends on who's the better fighter.
Dimitri Bivol, the man who handed Canelo a recent loss, offered high praise for Terence Crawford. Having seen him up close, Bivol noted that Crawford has bulked up impressively and possesses the skill set needed to win this fight. Bivol's opinion carries weight. He knows what it takes to beat Canelo and believes Crawford has that potential. He emphasized Crawford's discipline, speed, and intelligence as key strengths. When someone of Bivol's caliber backs a fighter, it signals that this matchup is far more competitive than it might seem on paper.
In Dubai, maybe a month ago, I saw him. He's big, and he has very good skills. He's one of my favorite boxers. He able to win this fight. But there is a lot of but, and even not but, there is a lot of things, small things, which we don't know how he will deal with this. He need to get used to the power and pressure of 168 because it's different, big difference, to be honest. Maybe he will get used to it, and how he will be feeling himself at the same day when he will fighting, how his training camp will go on, a lot of things. But he's able, he has good skills, he's awkward, he can use two boxing stance. It gives him benefits, of course.
I was at that same event in Dubai just before Christmas, and I saw him too, and I thought exactly the same thing, which is that he is quite big.
Yeah.
Size obviously is important. Jamel Charlo stepped up from super welterweight to super middleweight to box Canelo, and it didn't work at all for him. But Crawford is, I mean, he's one of the best fighters in the world, isn't he?
Keith Thurman offered a nuanced perspective on the matchup, noting that while it may appear even to casual fans, a deeper technical analysis reveals key imbalances. He pointed to Canelo's recent fight with Jermall Charlo, where Canelo struggled once Charlo used smart movement and footwork. Despite being the aggressor, Canelo had trouble cutting off the ring and landing effectively. Thurman argued that Crawford, who is even more cerebral and strategic than Charlo, could present similar, if not greater, problems for Canelo.
And, you know, we ain't getting punched in the face, so let's just watch the show and enjoy, people. You know what I'm saying? Let's just watch what these champions do. No matter what they do, they're both great. They're both going to continue to be great. But by the end of the day, one will be above the other.
Your eyes?
It's not like, I think a lot of people are going to lean towards Canelo. I don't want to say it's like, I feel like for the fans, it's coming off 50-50. Like it's hard for me to really commit, because this is what happened, right? When Canelo just fought the Charlo, right? When he just fought Charlo, he knocked Charlo down. But after he knocked Charlo down and Charlo was using ring movement, he never hit Charlo with another big shot, okay? This is what Keith Thurman is watching. I'm not saying like, oh, Canelo didn't do good. Like, Canelo dominated. That fight, he dominated, right? But let's just pay attention to little details, right? After he got dropped, he never got hurt again. Why, you ask? Why did Canelo not hurt him again? Oh, because he was on his bike, because he was using lateral movement, because he was watching with his eyes, and because he was being, you know, attentive with his defense, and he was able to make Canelo miss, but he was not able to make him pay.
On his podcast, Joe Rogan, joined by comedian and boxing fan Mike Vecchione, shared high praise for Terence Crawford. Rogan described Crawford as a great and dangerous athlete, highlighting his elite skills, mentality, and work ethic. He noted that the Canelo fight is not just a challenge, but also a massive opportunity for Crawford in terms of legacy and financial reward. Rogan called Crawford arguably one of the greatest boxers alive today, suggesting this moment could cement his place among the all-time greats. In his own words, Crawford addressed the upcoming clash with calm confidence. He acknowledged the size difference and recognized that Canelo may try to wear him down with pressure and weight. Still, Crawford made it clear he's ready for everything. His mindset reflects not just physical preparation, but psychological maturity, respecting the challenge while trusting in his adaptability. It's this mix of humility and belief that makes Crawford such a dangerous and intelligent fighter.
Good, work has been going great, and fight time we're gonna be prepared to put on a great show for you guys.
Has this been in your mind? We've been talking about it forever. Did you feel like this was eventually going to be the case, that you and Canelo were going to eventually get in there?
Not at all. I didn't, think it was, a fight that he wanted. So I didn't really know. But, thanks to Turkey, Al-Sheikh, he made it possible. And, we got one of the biggest fights in the last decade, happening at Allegiant Stadium, September 13th.
When you get in there, what do you expect? Everyone's going to make, a size difference, but what do you expect when you get in there with Canelo?
I'm expecting Canelo to be Canelo. He's the bigger man. I expect him to, box a little bit, but I also expect him, to try to walk me down and be the bigger man. So, we expect everything in there.
I was looking it up, and I think the last time Bud Crawford was an underdog for a fight was the Prescott fight back in 2013. Any difference? Do you even pay attention to odds, or that doesn't matter to you when you step in there into the ring that night?
No, it definitely don't matter. The odds can't fight for him, so it is what it is.
Actor and martial artist Michael Jai White also shared his thoughts, backing Crawford as his pick to win. His reasoning was straightforward: Crawford has been here before. Despite moving up in weight, Terence has consistently shown he can handle bigger opponents by neutralizing their advantages with strategy. According to White, this isn't unfamiliar territory for Crawford, just a new name and a bigger stage. He expressed full confidence that Terence would stay composed and execute like always, calculated, vicious, and precise.
No. So you would put your money on Crawford?
Yes.
You'd make money.
Okay.
Let's put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think Crawford's going to beat him?
Because Crawford could find people to fight like Canelo, who is amazing. Canelo has he's, oh my God, like he evolved. I saw how he evolved defensively and everything. I just don't think he's as fast as Crawford. And I think Crawford is just a little step ahead as far as movement is concerned. And so I think it's going to be Mayweather Canelo Part 2. That's what I think.
Canelo is naturally heavier.
Yeah, Crawford ain't gonna knock him out.
Huh.
But I don't know if Canelo's gonna land very solidly on Crawford.
Calvin Ford, trainer of Gervonta Davis, praised Terence Crawford for embracing such a massive challenge. Ford emphasized that it takes a different kind of fighter, mentally and spiritually, to step into a bout where the odds, weight, and pressure are all against you. That, he said, is what sets Crawford apart, the courage to pursue greatness even when the path is risky. This willingness to face giants, both literally and figuratively, speaks volumes about Crawford's legacy-driven mindset.
The best example for him. Last question for you. Crawford, Canelo, who wins? Man, both of them guys are great. I respect Canelo. I respect Crawford to jump in and take a big fight like that, and that's what makes great fights, to see the big fights and wondering which side gonna win. But like I said, they say Canelo is the GOAT. I remember when Canelo fought Floyd. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like we getting another chance at seeing Crawford.
Veteran trainer Robert Garcia gave a candid take on Canelo's current approach, noting that unlike earlier in his career, Canelo no longer aggressively pushes for knockouts. Instead, he now relies on a more calculated strategy, winning rounds, conserving energy, and avoiding unnecessary damage. Garcia attributed this shift to age and the need to preserve his longevity. While Canelo remains effective, this change in style may not bring the same intensity Crawford is prepared for. If Crawford can exploit that slower pace, the fight could tilt in his favor.
Look, it's just Canelo doesn't go out for the knockout anymore. Canelo's just now, we've seen in the last few fights, he just does enough to win. He did the same again Munguia. He dropped Munguia, but then they didn't want to finish him. Charlo, Berlanga. He wants to cruise through the fight. He's up there, and not in age because he's only like 33 or 34, but he's
fighting since 15.
He was 15. A lot of training camps, a lot of sparring matches. So all that takes a lot out of your body. So he takes care of his body too. So he doesn't go all out because he doesn't want to just finish his body. He knows he still has a few more years and a few big fights where he wants to take care of himself and not punish himself too much. That's why he hasn't been able to knock those guys out. Not because he can't. I think he just does enough to win. I think Shiraz also has great power, man. I think Shiraz has the power.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.